What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Meran podcast. Today, my guest is none other than the legend himself, Henrik Harlaut. The man needs no introduction, but let's still go ahead. In his career, Henrik has won 13 X Games medals, including 8 gold. And he's got podium results at pretty much every major competition there has been in the last 15 years. On the video side, Henrik has created one of the most influential web series of all time, being the B&E show with his good friend Phil Casabon. He's cumulated multiple legendary movie segments with companies such as 4x9 Media, Level 1 Productions, Field Productions, and many more. He's also done a lot of self-produced movies like 2014's Road to Zion, 2018's The Regiment, and 2020's Salute. Henrik is one of the GOATs of free skiing, and it was a pleasure to chat with him. We talked about his 2022 season and everything that went into it, his approach towards an Olympic year, missing out on X Games due to COVID, the current state and future of big air competitions, and much, much more. Our talk will be split into 2 parts, so be ready for part 2 where we talk about his film projects and his brand Harlaut Apparel. Big thank you to this episode's sponsors, Axis Board Shop, Planks Clothing, and Adrenaline Urbaine. Also, big shout out to the patrons on Patreon, Will Cameron and Raf Diaz. Let's go. Mr. Henrik Harlaut, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very, very much.
I'm glad to have you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be part of it. Thank you for letting me come along.
Yeah, man, legend in the place. We've been working on getting you on for a while, but finally doing it. How was your season?
Season was good.
You were busy.
Yeah, busy, but yeah, it was nice though. Like not too crazy. It was like pretty planned out before, so it wouldn't be like too intense, like not too many competitions, and just wanted to have a lot of time on skis, on snow, and yeah, it worked out good. Was able to stay healthy the whole season and was motivated and hyped.
Because you had a bit of ongoing knee problems, right?
Yes.
So that's done with. I think you had surgery maybe 2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, I had the last surgery on it 3 years ago.
Okay.
But it's still like bothering me at times, unfortunately, because I basically don't have any meniscus left in my left knee, and all the cartilage under the meniscus is like all worn out, so it's a lot like bone to bone. So if I ski super much and too hard, it gets pretty sore and like swollen. So actually already last season I had to cut the season a little bit earlier than I normally do, and it was I think 19th of April, which has been like the earliest finish of the season for me in a while. But I was still feeling pretty good, but then I just like knew I wanted to go into this season feeling extra fresh. So then to have a couple extra months to just recover and get a little bit more prepared.
Is there anything you can do about the meniscus thing? Like some surgeries, or you just got to live with it?
Having a little bit more muscles, so support around it,
yeah,
is definitely helping. But I heard you can like have like a surgery where they go and like punch a bunch of holes or something in the bone, which can help sometimes regrow cartilage. But for most part, it can be like a bit risky. So usually the physios and doctors tell me to not do it since it's working pretty good as long as I keep my head straight.
Yeah, as long as it's bearable.
Yeah, exactly. And as long as I take care of it and like are aware of it. So used to like try to ski about like 300 days a year. Now
that's insane.
Maybe a little bit less, unfortunately. I wish I could. I would if I didn't have like any knee problems or anything. I would probably ski that much just because I love it so much. But yeah, these days I just have to be.
What do you think? What was your number this season? Would you say 150, 200?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know exactly.
That's still an insane season.
Yeah, it was really good. But I was like a little bit better, like taking care of it, because I learned, like, got this like schedule or structure during the summer where I was more like training hard for 3 days, then 1 day off, then 2 days more, and then 1 day off. So I would try to like split it up. So I ski hard for like 3 or 4 days, and then take a day off, and then ski another two, three, and another day off. Instead of like, because normally I just go, 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 and usually if it's nice weather, I'm not gonna stop ever, really.
Yeah, you're the type of guy who doesn't take a day off.
Yeah, it was in the plans to like, even if it's super nice, I feel good, like it's good for me to like, yeah, take a day off.
And what's your vibe when you take a day off? Is it like playing video games, watching some stuff? Just what's your vibe when you take some day offs now?
I usually bike quite a bit still, and yeah, try to take care of emails and like stuff that I am pretty bad at taking care of. So like usually try to do that on my days off.
Sounds
Uh,
good.
yeah, but it was cool too. Like what I was saying, like with taking the cutting the season early last year, going into this season, I didn't start ski until like middle beginning of October. So it was basically like 6 months off without necessarily rehabbing an injury.
Hmm.
And that was like super wicked, a feeling that I hadn't had in a while since I was like a little kid, where you like during the summer start getting like the real itch where you're like, "Wow, I cannot wait to go ski." And then you're
Yeah,
like, fuck, it's like 3 more months. Okay. Like when you're young going to school and you're just like praying that the snow will start falling early.
yeah, and you're just hitting your backyard setup.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you used to have one, right? I remember you were posting edits of your backyard setup in Sweden.
Yeah, yeah, I had a super nice backyard setup together. We with some friends we bought a rail together, and yeah, luckily my parents allowed me to transform the whole backyard into a ski yard, and
Yeah, to trash it up.
yeah, we definitely trashed it a lot. There was no more grass and it was all mud and crazy, but yeah, they
Yeah.
were very supportive, so I give thanks for that.
So you mentioned that your season was really planned out. Where did that come from? Was it related to the Olympics? Is it something you usually do, planning it out in detail beforehand?
At times, but I think I do it more and more because I see the effect of it, like the positive outcome of it. That like when it is a little bit more clear in my head, so I don't have to like fully improvise and like go as it comes, kind of. And yeah, it was definitely like a little extra push and motivation for Olympics,
Hmm.
to be like feeling fresh and feeling nice at it. And like mainly the thing that I talked about with the Swedish coach Niklas Eriksson, who is a super good skier as well, and we have a great relationship, being good friends and skied together a bunch when we were young. But we just came up with that if I compete a little bit less, it makes me a little bit extra motivated when I'm at the competition to like show what I can do, instead of just going every weekend and like kind of, yeah, everything gets repetitive.
Hmm.
I like it when it's fresh and you feel like you're looking forward to go to an event. So I skipped like the first big air event that was in Switzerland, and then skipped two more events that was in January. And yeah, just like try to like make sure that I wasn't like being not burnt out, but like tired of the competitions before Olympics. So when I got to Olympics, I was like, I haven't showed what I got yet this year.
And now it's time for a first sponsor break. Adrenaline Urbaine recently opened their new Action Sports Center in Trois-Rivières, Quebec. The center is unique as it offers a variety of action sports on the inside. It has an indoor skate park, rock climbing, and a Ninja Warrior style section. The cherry on top, it has a snow park on the rooftop that is open year round. Adrenaline Urbaine is perfect for both beginner or experienced riders. You can go and ride on your own or get private coaching for the sport of your choice. Its location in Trois-Rivières is perfect as it's only an hour away from both Montreal and Quebec City. It's also around 2 hours from the American border. Adrenaline Urbaine opened the dream center for every action sports enthusiast, and it's so dope to have it here in Quebec. Check them out online at adrenalineurbaine.ca or in person at their center in Trois-Rivières District 55. Support companies who support skiing. Support Adrenaline Urbaine. Right. I have two things to ask you about that. For the comps, is it something where you're kind of over it because you're 30, you've been in big time comps for let's say 12 years approximately? Is there a point where you're because you make me think of the I'm a big tennis fan, like the tennis legends these days that are still there, like Nadal, Federer, Djokovic, where they're still competing, but they do less. And when they're there to win it all, but they're not about to do 30 tournaments a year.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely like that for sure, and that's with age and everything to like prioritize. So it's like quality over quantity, I guess. But in general, I'm like not really over. I love competing. I'm a pretty competitive person, and I love the way it like pushes me and like brings out the best of me and my skiing. But coming this next year, or maybe even next 2 years, I'm definitely gonna compete a lot less. I plan to pretty much only do X Games this coming season if I get invited, which I hope. But yeah, I just want to like give a full focus and priority towards filming, which I haven't really had the chance to do yet in my career.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've balanced the both of them a lot, and then some seasons definitely prioritize competitions over filming, but I never had the season yet where I'm like, let's make the coolest film segment I possibly can. Also want to just have the freedom of like skiing a lot and try to progress and try to get really good at skiing, because when you do compete a lot and go from contest to contest, there's so limited of time for that, where you like I feel like you progress a lot in the preseason, and then during the season, mainly the comp season, is you just doing what you're good at already and try to recover as well as you can in between competitions so you can bring out the best of what you already know how to do. And then towards the end of the season is again where you learn a lot of new tricks. But
Right.
I want to have the chance to like feel like I don't have to be in perfect condition next week. I want to be more just in the moment when I ski, because that's when I ski the best and when I progress the most.
Because there's kind of two types of people. I feel like some that like will go on a spring session on a big booter and then learn some tricks there, and then there's some other ones that it seems like to be in the moment, like big air finals at X Games, and you do a trick that you had in mind for 2 years. Like in my mind, it seemed that's a another category, but one clear example for that I have in mind for you is your nose butt triple. That was
Yeah,
like Tanner pushing you, and it's like, okay, fuck it, I guess I'll try it.
yeah,
So you're more the type of person that'll like prepare it in the summer, spring, or fall, and like maybe do it in advance or practice it in advance.
it all depends. Like for sure, X Games is a exception, or in the way like for sure like that's like the biggest show of the season usually for me, where I'm like, that's when I want to bring out my, yeah, what I've
Or
been thinking
maybe
about.
is it that big air and slope style are different in that sense? Like maybe big air, you'll try a variation that in slope style you can't really try in a run.
Yeah, I think so for sure. Like slope style, it's more about repetition and like have your stuff really dialed, because you want to make slope style, I always think like top to bottom without mistakes, and if you can keep it clean, that's like the illest, where you can showcase your flow and style. And big air is just, yeah, all in, put all your cards on the table, kind of, where you like. So then definitely like it's easier too when you only have to focus on one jump. So it's easier to like try something that you maybe haven't tried before. But it's also what's cool about it too, because it's like the easier discipline, I think, but that makes it harder because it is easier. So it's easier for everybody to like learn new crazy variations. So it's like almost like, I guess like 100-meter sprint or whatever, like a lot of people know how to run and are able to run 100 meters, but it's like the top dogs that's able to do it and like win a medal. And then maybe a marathon is a little bit different, that's like more challenging, but maybe it's not as like.
Well, I think it's more a testament to you because both are super different, but take some special skills. Like I don't think Usain Bolt would like win a marathon,
No,
but
exactly.
but you have the skills for both. Like you can
Yeah,
go out and do that special trick in big air, but also do a crazy slopestyle run. And there's some people that only did one in their career. Like there's some people that had great careers, but only had results in big air.
yeah,
Like they weren't necessarily slopestyle guys.
for sure. And that's cool too. I think it's cool that like there is people that can specify in certain disciplines and certain areas of skiing, and others that is like more open to use like all of it.
Yeah, someone that I think when I think of big air specialist was a Vinny Gagne.
Yeah,
Elias Embol was really a big
Elias,
air
yeah.
guy.
And even like as far as competitions, I feel like Kai Mahler
Yeah,
was definitely better in big airs than slope styles.
you mentioned uh, managing your schedule to be really hungry for the Olympics. Was there a thinking in your head that I know you're really competitive? Was there a thinking that this time I'm gonna get my fucking medal?
For sure. No, for sure, that was like the plan, and I was like, let's do it. And like, I wanted to put like my full, give it a real chance and real shot at doing so. So that's why it was like extra preparation and making sure that like I was doing it right. And I also had like the two previous Olympics that didn't necessarily go too well
Hmm.
to like learn a lot from, and like I know what I did different the first time to the second time, and like what I can do to like perform my third time, and like what I do during X Games that makes me bring out the best of myself. And was like during the summer watching so many big air and slope style events and skateboard events, and like just like studying, and like was like, yeah, just looking at everything.
So basically, in 2022, it was the first time there was big air and slopestyle at the Olympics.
Yep.
Before that, Sochi was the first time there was slopestyle only, and then in Pyeongchang there was only slopestyle, but snowboard got big air
Yeah.
and skiing didn't. Were you disappointed at that last Olympics that there wasn't big air for skiing?
Maybe not disappointed, but I think it would have been awesome if Big Air was in it as well, since the arena was already there. And yeah, I was feeling pretty good in Big Air as well at the time. So it would have been awesome to have another shot, because it's crazy too. Like, yeah, with Olympics, it's like so high prestige, and only to get the chance every 4 year. And if it was only in one event,
Yeah.
and a slope style where it's like so many obstacles that can go a little bit wrong,
Hmm.
then yeah. But I was still like appreciated for the opportunity to go to a second Olympics overall. So yeah, I was definitely not like disappointed or mad or anything like that, but it would have been awesome.
And now it's time for another sponsor break. If you listen to this podcast, you know Access Board Shop is the dopest shop in skiing. They support athletes, movies, events, and a bunch of other stuff related to skiing and snowboarding. I've been to their shop recently, and they're ready for ski season. They've received all the new skis, boots, outerwear, and every other thing you'll need for this season. So if you're in Quebec, go check out Access Boutique in Saint-Sauveur, or you can check them out online at accessboutique.ca. Support companies that support skiing. Support Access Board Shop. Well, I'll say I was mad because it felt like maybe skiing was behind snowboarding like 20 years ago. But at that point in 2018, I was like, well, what's the matter? It,
Yeah, I hear you. That's just the way it is. So it's like,
yeah,
nah,
yeah.
nothing I can affect.
You went to Sochi. I don't remember well Pyeongchang, but I remember Sochi. You had a really dope run that, in my mind, if you kind of landed it perfectly, you would have been on the podium, no doubt. But there might have been a bubble on your last hit.
Correct.
Yeah, and you ended up sixth, which is really not bad, but still, it's a bummer knowing that that bubble was the difference, kind of.
Yeah,
And
for
then,
sure.
and how did Pyeongchang go?
Pyeongchang was like more heavy for me, kind of, because I was like skiing so good at the time. I thought I had won Do Tour that year. I had won X Games, both slopestyle and big air, the week before going to Olympics, and then was like feeling really good. And maybe the course, it was like a lot of things to it. Like the first two practice days, it was super slushy and nice. So then it was like running super well, and I basically took off all the edges on my skis because I was like riding in slush, and then I was like nice, and all the rails were sliding perfect. And
Okay.
then last practice day and competition day, it like froze and got so icy that I had to like change my line a little bit because I couldn't land backwards in the hip because I would slip out every time.
So you didn't have any skis with edges left?
I had like two or three pair, and I like for some, it was like stupid. I
Damn.
like just took down the edges, and we had a technician there,
Yeah.
and I was like telling him, could we try to get some more edges back? And then he tried, but yeah.
That looks like some cross country skiing strategy where there's a lot going on with the wax and everything.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, I think that's definitely like an excuse as well. Like I should have been able to do good, and then, but yeah, didn't even qualify. I like
Mm.
first run fell on the first jump, just knuckled and like bite my tongue and was like bleeding like crazy in my mouth. So maybe that was like a lot of things going on in my head. And then yeah, second run I kind of landed it, but it was just like not good from
Mm.
top to bottom. And then it was like a shit show from the Swedish media and all that, like that I am not taking Olympics seriously because I had done so well in all the events before, and like,
Damn.
yeah, he's just like here, and I was like still happy. Like at the end of the day, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I didn't get injured.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it didn't work out the way I wanted to, and they were like, oh, he's way too happy. He should be crying. He should be more like, and I was like,
Well, they should know that you're the type of guy that's always smiling. Like at that point, it's not as if you're gonna throw a tantrum or something.
yeah, no, exactly. But that was just like heavy, and I was like, come on, like
Yeah.
it was like not super nice. So then it was like definitely like some thoughts, like, do I want to go for another Olympics and
Hmm.
like have this possibly happen again, or so that was like a bit like of a commitment last spring, I would say, when I like decided to take like the extra focus and extra, yeah, crazy route going into Olympics, that like, all right, this could, anything can happen at Olympics is like a completely different beast, I feel like, whereas like
Hmm.
it can be heavy, like if you have a lot of expectations and people that believe in you, I guess. The And yeah, I got to even witness it last year with like Nigel Houston in skateboarding, that's like always always in the final, and like always like pretty much winning or second. And I saw him like in the qualification already, when he dropped in, he was like looking like I never seen him on a skateboard before, where it was like,
Mm.
yeah, but he made finals, but then didn't make it at all in the finals, didn't do well. And same with a Swedish skateboarder in park, Oscar Rosenberg, who was like one of my favorite skaters, and yeah, he didn't look like he normally do. So it was a lot of thoughts going into it, and like, all right, this could be like scary to put this much effort and time and energy into a event that could just not go at all the way I see it. But then also I was like, for sure, like, this is my shot. Like I was believing in it, that like it's better to do all these preparations rather than not do the preparations and come there and be like not prepared.
Hmm. What do you think makes the difference in terms of pressure between X Games and the Olympics? because it seems like from what I'm hearing, it seems like you find it kind of heavy, the Olympics, the whole thing surrounding it, whereas it seems like you're thriving off X Games and it's something you're looking forward to. Like one is every year and the other is every 4 year. But what do you think makes the difference in like um, how people are handling it? Maybe.
Yeah, for me, on my from personal perspective, it's just that like all of a sudden, all the TV, all the media is there, and they're like leading up to the event, like are super following it and like wants to know everything about you and like all your whole life and like all and like writing about everything. So everything is like on tape,
Mm-hmm.
and like X Games is like more individual. You go there, it doesn't matter what country necessarily you're from. You're like representing free skiing. And Olympics, you're over there like representing the country. So the people that not doesn't follow skiing at all are all of a sudden like super sharing for you. And but it's all good, good pressure at the same time. Like I always try to turn it into a positive where I'm like, I guess it's like people supporting, and it's like awesome to feel the support from your country, but it also makes you want to like be able to like give back or like represent it the right way as well. So that like you put or I put a little extra pressure on myself, and like what you say, like it is only every 4 years. So yeah, you don't know how many chances you're gonna get to
Mm-hmm.
possibly get on the podium.
In free skiing, we know Henrik. We've known Henrik for a while. Like, there's no surprise. We know what we're getting into. What's the vibe with the mainstream public in Sweden? Like, because you've had some really big moments in the Olympics, like you shouting out the Wu Tang Clan at the bottom, and when you fell down with your there's the infamous photo with your pants down landing.
Yeah.
Um, what's the Henrik situation in Sweden? Are you like a big star over there?
Yeah, I think I have like grown into it a lot more. And yeah, I think at first people were like, who is this crazy person? But then I felt like always the older generations have always liked that I'm like so positive and like happy, and like, and these days, yeah, I think people have gone over the point where it's like he's like just this like crazy clown kind of more, because they see like how much time I put into it, and like have now seen that I went to 3 Olympics. So obviously it's like, yeah, taking it seriously.
It's not luck.
No, exactly. And even like last year or 2 years ago in 21, there's like this big sports award in Sweden where like all the athletes from the year get like awards for like best male performance, best all this stuff.
Hmm.
And I was in this like one category that's like the most prestige, because it's like the people's choice. So everybody's like calling in to for who they want to win it.
Hmm.
And I ended up getting third in that one, which is like super crazy because it's like all the best hockey players, soccer players, and yes, summer activities. And it was a year when a lot of people had done really well, but yeah, people get like knocked out like kind of head to head, and I was able to like stay in it for, yeah, until third place or whatever. So that was like a big eye opener for me. I was like, holy, okay, I guess people,
People know you, like you're in the mainstream. How do you
yeah,
say? Yeah,
them-
people are aware of Henrik.
yeah, I guess
That's
so.
that's crazy. So, what would you say are the biggest sports in Sweden? Like, where would you say skiing ranks in terms of like the mainstream
free
love
skiing,
or
free skiing maybe around like pretty far down. It's definitely like hockey
yeah,
and cross country skiing are two super big. Soccer is also very very big. Alpine skiing is big as well.
like racing?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I feel, yeah, a lot of sports. People are in Sweden are very into sport and very supportive of it.
Mm.
But yeah, free skiing is not very hot topic unless it's Olympics, I think.
Yeah, I feel you. And now it's time for another sponsor break. Planks Clothing is a super dope brand that I'm proud to have as a sponsor. Planks Clothing has been making rad ski gear for rad humans since 2009. If you need some new outerwear for this coming season, go check them out at planksclothing.com. Their products are super stylish, top quality, and are at an affordable price. Last season, I was filming and skiing with the man's Good Time insulated jacket, and I was super good all year round in the winter of Quebec. Support companies that support skiing, support Planks Clothing. Like in Quebec, skiing is down low also. Like there's all the major team sports that are way bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But it's as if when there's one personality that that the media loves, then it gets big. So here, the media loves Mick Kingsbury, the
Yeah,
mogul skier.
for sure.
So he's like, the media doesn't care about skiing at all. But when it's about him, he's on every TV show and like he's a star here.
Yeah,
But he told me he had the same thing where he's used to winning every comp in moguls. Like I think he has now close to 100 victories or something like that. It's
yeah,
insane. And for him, it's as if he gets second, it's a fail for the media.
yeah,
So it's like big time pressure of going into the Olympics and like managing himself and his expectations. Whereas getting second is super good,
yeah,
but it'll be told through the media as if it was kind of a failure
yeah.
almost.
No, for sure. That must be so crazy because I kind of saw it like this year at Olympics when he did get second,
Hmm.
and like the Swedish guy won, and it was like the first time he beat Kingsbury, I think, and it was like a big thing, like for him, like for sure, like already any podium would have been like the greatest victory ever,
Hmm.
greatest success. But then for Kingsbury, it was like either win or it's a failure, kind of. And you're like, holy, that must be like so
Yeah.
crazy. But I guess it is because he has been so dominant for so long that like, yeah. But I definitely feel for him, like when it must be crazy.
Have you met him?
Yeah, I have a few times. He's so nice.
Yeah, and he's so sick because he's also really into free skiing. Like
Yeah,
I grew up riding the same park as him, and like he would come back from, let's say, a mogul training with like his mogul kit on and come in the park and throw a cork 10. Like he was a real free skiing guy.
wicked. Yeah, I seen when he's doing the dub tens as well, or like
Yeah.
high mute, Bobby Brown type flavor.
Yeah, really Bobby
Sick.
style.
Yeah,
I did an episode with Mick 2 years ago, and he explained, I wasn't aware of the details of mogul skiing, but basically it's not like free skiing where you have the best of 3 runs, so you have 3 chances to get your best run. It's basically elimination every round.
yeah,
Like you have kind of a quarterfinals where it's one run, and then semifinal 1 run, and then the final you have 1 run.
yeah,
So it's
yeah. I seen that. That is so crazy. Because then it's like, yeah, you can't do any mistakes during the whole night, and it's like, yeah, going through so many rounds, and you're like, holy, and yeah, so many moguls in one run. Like you have to be so precise all the way down, and like not let too much of the break, but still it's on
mhm.
speed as well. So like, yeah,
Yeah, speed and your jumps.
yeah,
In both slopestyle and big air in the past years, there's kind of been uh, changes in format that have been tried. Some a couple years ago at X Games in big air, you had to do a left side trick and a right side trick.
yeah,
There's been a trying a jam format in slopestyle. Do you think it could be cool to have that format in either big air or slopestyle, like having one trick and you just have to eliminate people?
for sure. I think that it would probably work. Maybe it would work in slopestyle as well, but definitely big air. I think it would work fine,
Hmm.
and it'd be super nice if you weren't allowed to repeat the tricks as well. I think so you could see a little bit more variety, and like even seeing like people playing chess in a way, like maybe not bringing out your very best trick for quarterfinals,
Hmm.
but like a trick that you're safe or like feel comfortable with that you're gonna make it into semifinals or whatever, and then maybe you save like the super trick for the final, and maybe other people is like doing it the other way, so making sure that they make it into final. Yeah, I think it.
Maybe like almost kind of like in the slush games
Yeah,
where you're kind of being strategic with your opponent.
totally.
Yeah, maybe we can just branch off into that a bit. You weren't at X Games this year.
No.
What was that about? What the people missed you? It's not X Games if Henrik is not there.
Yeah, for sure it is. But thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's a nice compliment. But no, actually, it was crazy. I actually got COVID right
No.
there, right before. So I was in France with the Swedish team for a Fontromeo World Cup, and yeah, it was crazy. I got COVID. Jesper got COVID. Hugo got COVID. The coach Niklas got COVID, and our other filmer Kuske as well. And none of us had COVID during the whole like 2 year period.
Hmm.
And then everybody got it right then, and it was like so tight until Olympics as well, which was kind of crazy. Like first off, like it was for sure we can't go to X Games, and I think 3 or 4 of us were going over there. Like Hugo was going for Knucklehuck, and Jesper and Oliver and me. But then it was super crazy with that going to Olympics too, because I guess like 3 days before you had to have negative results, and yeah, we all got negative the last day you were allowed to be negative. Otherwise, we would have been we had to push down, or we pushed the trip departure day 1 day later to have a little bit more room, a little bit more space. But otherwise, if we wouldn't have been able on that day, we would have probably missed the practice for big air, and it was like pretty crazy.
For the Olympics, you mean?
Yeah, for
Damn.
the and yeah, exactly. And like after all the preparation, all the extra time, and being like so careful and staying away from people and everything, and then like all of a sudden, and in my case too, I was like not sick even. I like felt a little bit in my throat 1 day, and then I was like, fuck, because I usually never really get sick. So I was like, it's probably now, huh? It's right here, and then yeah, just staying at home for like a week straight and like feeling good and like come on, going to the sauna 3 days or 3 times a day and like trying to sweat it out and like come on, just give me a negative result so I can like ski and get prepared for this event. And also, but it was pretty fun and cool at the same time to like watch X Games from home, because I haven't done that in 13 years in a row now.
That's
So
crazy.
it was a really fun experience. Obviously, I would have prefer to be there skiing as well, but I enjoyed sitting at home and like I had my notes and stuff and was like kind of like trying to write down and like see what people was doing and yeah, learn something from just watching it.
Were you playing the judging game?
Yeah, yeah, we did actually. We had like a conversation, a group conversation, the whole Swedish team, and we were all like after every run, like putting down what we thought, like yeah, the score was gonna be, and like comments and stuff about it, and yeah, it was a fun experience for sure to watch X Games at home, but I missed it, and I hope I never have to sit out from it again.
Yeah, there was a lot of um, COVID. How would you say COVID cancellations?
Yeah,
I think there was like a big merry-go-round for Knucklehuck where the first invitees had to cancel, and then they had the second round, and they also canceled. So it seemed like a big struggle for the organizers.
yeah, and it was kind of crazy too. With like I hadn't seen Phil for almost like 2 years, because last time we had chilled together was in Zermatt. We were skiing, and then he went back to Quebec and was gonna do the third real ski, and then he tore his ACL. And then after COVID came in, and we were maybe gonna see each other at high five festivals, and then yeah, a lot of things happened. So then we were like finally like, all right, at X Games, let's link up and let's ski together. And like I I was like looking so much forward to hanging out with Phil, and then it was horrible. Like I caught COVID, and I sent him a message. I was like, "Fuck, bro, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be there.
Yeah.
And then he was like, bro, I just went to the airport and I tested positive at the airport, so I'm not going either. So I guess it was for a reason.
Damn. Yeah, I think he was hyped also. First X Games in a while.
Yeah,
He went to maximize the training spot in Quebec and like practiced only on the knuckle there.
yeah,
I was bummed
yeah.
for him.
I was looking so forward to seeing him ski there and
Yeah.
get to ski with him for Knuckle Huck. I was like, that's like gonna be the
That would have
shit.
been crazy.
The B&E and Knuckle Huck shredding together.
They need to invite you both this year.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So we mentioned a bit that you judged on your end.
Yeah,
Did you agree with the judging?
agreed with it. Yeah, I think so. I can't remember exactly, but I remember like I don't agree with like the way the computer fucked up with the score of Mate, let's say, where he had like two 48s and one was a nose butt trip 19, one was a nose butt dub
I
19,
have the answer for that.
and I guess they put in the scores and the computer thought it was the same
No,
trick or something. No,
I just did an episode with Jason Aarons, who's a judge,
yeah,
and we talked about that.
let's hear it.
And he basically said, I'm gonna try to remember well, but that it had to be two distinctively different trick, like the rule.
Okay,
Your two different scores had to be different tricks. Like it couldn't be two dub 19s. It would have been one score. And their thinking was that one trick was a nose butt dub 19 and the other was a nose butt triple 19, something like that.
yeah.
And he was like, it was too similar of a trick to be considered two different tricks.
Wow.
In a
I
sense
think
that,
that's not.
yeah. Well, in my mind, I said also, in my mind, that's two different tricks. But he talked a bit about in snowboarding, uh, it would be considered the same trick. They have kind of a different way of seeing it, where in their mind, the number of spins is more important. Like it doesn't matter how many times you cork, it's the same trick. I'm not that much aware of the snowboarding side, but
Yeah,
and what he
I
said
wish it was
was
more like that in skiing too. Sorry.
okay. Well, and he said that Matej tried the switch quad and didn't land it well. And in his mind, he was like, "Well, anyway, we thought he was gonna go back for another switch quad and do it better, but he didn't end up doing it again." But anyways, the whole point was that in their mind, it was too similar of a trick, which I guess is fine if it's their way of seeing it. But it made me think like it's so hard to get the difference when you get those types of rules. Like let's say the rule of
Yeah,
having two different tricks, and then it's like, well, what makes a trick different? Is it a grab? Is it the spin? Like it made me think like, should it be only your best trick, like one trick? So
yeah.
then you don't have that problem.
Then it would work exactly what we were talking before with the elimination rounds.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I thought that's kind of unfair to hear that they thought it was too similar just because Mate the double was almost like straight up and it was with Japan.
It was almost like not even a dub, like just a nose butt 19
Yeah,
corked.
and it was with Japan and the triple was with safety.
Mm-hmm.
And like in that case then I for me it's almost like more similar, even let's say like A Hall's trick was like switch dub 18 with the Buick and
Yeah,
switch dub 21 with the Buick,
yeah.
like where it's like more for me more similar, just there's another 360 in the middle.
Mm-hmm. But then his point was one is switch, one is not switch, so that's like the big differentiating factor.
But I think it wasn't A Hall's too, the both the good one was the switch, like switch
I
18 and
think
switch
one.
21.
I think one was from the front.
Yeah,
One was
maybe.
switch 21, and the other one was straight. But I don't remember exactly.
Anyway, I'm not saying I think A Hall deserved it, and for
Yeah.
me it's still two different tricks.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, those were more similar
Mm-hmm.
than Mate's,
Yeah.
maybe. But
But it's
anyway,
so when you get in, I feel like it's so hard when you every rule you create can create some confusion, or with every rule you create, you can create some problems. Like with
So
Jason, we
much.
got into the polls or no polls debate, or and
Yeah,
then it opens up like, is there a limitation for ski length, or
yeah,
that that they have in racing, let's say.
right.
And yeah, there's a what's your opinion on the polls no polls, because you're a guy who competed with and without.
Yeah, yeah. I guess it's a long explanation, but I think like
Let's say first, for in competitions, because I guess in other than competitions you don't care, maybe.
yeah. No, I think exactly. It's like up to each own. Do exactly what you want to do. I'm gonna ski outside of competition with and without, and probably in competition as well. But I think if you can do a trick with poles, is usually should be higher reward than doing the same exact trick without poles.
Mm.
So then, because it is harder with certain grabs, like certain grabs is like so hard with poles rather than without poles. Like when you
Hmm.
go like all crazy, like that's like why Vinny Cash, like his super grabs with big poles is like even more impressive than if somebody would do it without poles. Then I think it's deserving that the one with poles should get a higher score for it in a competition.
Hmm.
But then again, like outside of competition, like fully like just whatever looks the best, feels the best, and express the trick the best way, I think.
Hmm.
But in competition, when you have to have a bit of a structure and like a formula somewhat, if it's two the same tricks, one with poles, one without, the one with, in my opinion, wins.
Yeah, and he explained me the whole system of how it works and the criterias and how they judge it, and I was really impressed by how thought out it is. Like they really thought about everything. But anyways, it's an insane job that they have to do.
For
Um,
sure.
and we were talking about the polls no polls. We went a bit into like the history of it all. Like, do you remember Wallish got scored zeros at the U.S. Open
At
because
Aspen
of that?
Open.
Aspen Open. Yeah,
Yeah, I do remember that for sure.
I didn't remember it was zeros.
Yeah, I think he even said on the score, no poles or something like that.
Shit.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Did you ever have a situation like that when you were judged harshly for whatever reason?
No, maybe not. Or maybe actually, I remember when I was like 14 years old, I went to this big air event in Zurich called freestyle.ch. And I remember I was there hanging out a lot with Mikkel and Mikkel Deschno. And we both had like the grills, both had like like more hip hop influenced style of skiing. And I remember I didn't I did like some pretty good tricks and didn't get good score at all. And then I remember hearing the judges was saying like too much, that I had like too much of an influence, like trying to look like Mikkel
Mm,
kind of. And that, I think that's the only occasion where something like that happened, where it was something outside of my performance that played
yeah,
in.
you didn't take it too personally.
No, I was like, okay, I guess
Whatever.
that's what they think.
Yeah,
This is,
at 14, it's good to brush it off.
yeah,
We talked a bit about the big air at X Games that you weren't in. What were your highlights? Because in my mind, well, I guess we can say that almost every year, but this year the level was super good.
yeah,
Like the podium
super
was
wicked.
A Hall, Mac Forehand, and Teal Harley.
Yeah,
Then after that, there was Ed Joy, Edward Terrio, that was super good.
yeah,
Matej came in fifth, and then Colby, Andre, and Heaven McEachran.
yeah,
Heaven took a beating. I don't know if you remember. He had
yeah.
two
Two,
in
I
a
think.
row.
Yeah, they were heavy ones.
Damn.
Heavy ones. Yeah, I was like so impressed with Mac forehand, the way he skied both in big air and slope style. I thought he was like so solid looking, and his tricks were. I liked his trick choices and yeah, the expression of his tricks. And I think he got a little underscored, if I remember right, in slope style. I thought he had like yeah, should have gone a little bit better score, but yeah, like you said, everybody skied so well,
Yeah. I
and it
think
was
my favorite was Teal.
Teal.
His
Teal for
jumps.
sure. Teal was
he-
incredible. Like the way he, yeah, the switch trip 18 with mute was like the first try he ever did. I remember him coming down, and it's like that was first try, and he was like, no way. And then the trip 19 safety with like super parallel safety on a high spin like that is, yeah, Teal was so good. The like switch triple 14 bring back kind of style, switch sev to switch dub sev.
yeah. I think you had a lot of influence in those type of tricks, right? Those tricks where you kind of stop the rotation.
Maybe, huh?
I think
that
that
that that would be, yeah.
wasn't
If you
there
think so,
the
I appreciate it. I
kind of the switch cork threes.
Yeah, I think I did a bunch of it, so hopefully inspired people to maybe look a little bit outside the box, and there isn't always about
Or
the
maybe
most
not the
degree
switch
of
cork
spinning.
threes, but also like the cork ones, kind of the
Yeah,
reverts.
like more or like flat one kind
Yeah,
of.
flat one exactly.
But definitely like with together with Phil, we did a bunch of like the switch threes pretty early, like in Education of Style and movies like that.
Yeah.
So I think we definitely was part of it, but I can't say exactly if that's where they got the inspiration from. But I
Mhm.
appreciate it.
But it's something that a couple skiers helped build. Like I know A Hall did some recently of like reverting in the spins, and Vinny Gagne also.
For sure.
Yeah.
Charles Gagné too.
Yeah. You're someone I think who has big opinions on skiing since you're so passionate and so involved. I remember when they tried at X Games changing the format and you had to do a left side trick and a right side trick, maybe around 2016, around those years, 2015 maybe.
2018.
Okay. I thought it was earlier than that.
No,
But
yeah, I
I
was 2018 because I won with it, but I hated it.
yeah, with your
For-
switch right triple.
exactly.
But that was dope. Switch right triple with kind of lead mute.
Yeah, like
Um
the Wallish mute or Tony
yeah.
Kanye mute. Yeah,
I remember the interviewer was at the bottom asking you the classic question and like expecting you to say, "Oh, I'm so stoked! It's a nice day," and we could see that you had to say it, but you didn't really want to. I don't know. You seemed conflicted, and you said, "Yeah." You just like ignored her question and said, like, "Yeah, I think we should go back to the old format. It's better."
yeah.
I thought that was so great.
No, I definitely, yeah, I thought so too. Like it like limited so much the riders that maybe like what we talked about before that specify in big air,
Hmm.
that like maybe like a Vinny Gagne that has like so much creative tricks that are like so unique, but maybe only spins his natural way, and it like made it more into like a slope style event where it was like not best trick. It was like more about showing that you can spin both ways,
Yeah.
and
Well,
it's in some ways like it favors other people too that like maybe do spin like for example a Jesper Shader that like his natural way of spinning switch is left and forward right. So then
really,
for him it's like
I didn't know
both
that.
is natural, but so he's like it favors a skier like that.
It favors slope style specialized skiers.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I thought like people were, but it also like motivated me too because I remember we got the like email pretty early, like in maybe in the summer or something, that it was gonna be changed format for one right side and one left side trick. So then I already like started brainstorming, and I was like thinking like people is gonna like count me out now because they maybe don't see my right side being like my stronger type of trick. So then but then I definitely like thought of it and like started like practicing in my head and stuff, to like, yeah, I'm gonna have the back to back switch triples, so like come through
Okay.
when it counts.
Yeah, and also I thought it didn't fit the history and the culture of Big Air,
Hmm.
where let's say at that point Big Air existed for maybe 20 years,
Yeah.
and it never was about spinning both ways. So I kind of saw what they were trying to do, but at the same time, it didn't feel right with what Big Air was.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that's exactly, and that's why I kind of felt like I had to say something. And during the whole time too, I was always thinking about like I need to win so I
Mm,
can bring this message, because it's like so easy
right.
to say this message if you don't do well, like complain or hate on something that doesn't favoring yourself. But then I was like, all right, I'm gonna win, or I need to win so I can like say what I think about this without sounding like a crazy person that's like against something that's like working out.
Yeah, you're right. It can be easily misinterpreted.
So
Yeah,
much.
that's dope. We talked a bit about what Big Air could be, what it tried to be when they changed. Do you have stuff that you, because they're these days it seems like every year they're trying to maybe adapt the format. Do you have some ideas for Big Air that of changes, or would you keep it the way it is? Like, what's your thoughts on the Big Air evolution these days with the tricks still evolving in 2022? There was still new tricks being done this year. It's crazy.
Yeah. Uh yeah, I think there is a lot of different ways, so different approaches you can go. And one is like what we talked about before, like having it more eliminating, and maybe not necessarily head to head, because
Hmm.
head to head in big air can sometimes be unfair, where somebody who would get second place or one and two already meet in the first round, and then one gets like kind of, it's always the right winner that ends up winning.
Hmm.
But the elimination round is cooler, because then like still the like top two dogs can like always proceed.
Yeah.
But I definitely thought about also that like having more runs count would be cool. It was cool year of 2020 when it was every round counted, because then it was like, yeah, it was more
Yeah, that was
powerful
really
to,
like a jam format.
yeah, jam format, but every run counts. So then it was like about being perfect the whole way through. And that was fun and challenging as well, because then it was like five tricks that you had to land.
Hmm. And you won
But
that year, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but then by playing the strategy, the good, I think. And but also like, yeah, if it was like four tricks out of five jumps that counted would be cool. It would also be very cool if it was maybe a style style focused trick as well, which could be hard, but like you would maybe set it so you could only allowed to spin up to a 540 or a 720, just to, for people to showcase that as well, because there is so many technical ways of doing a 540 and like stylish way, and like for the audience too, like maybe not the mainstream, I feel like that is like what catches more people's eyes sometimes, because that's like what they can relate to, and they can see like, whoa, a big
Hmm.
laid out five, or like something just fresh to it as well, and showcases too that like you can do both. And everybody these days are definitely capable of it. Like people are so talented these days that they can definitely learn, and even more if the format was set for that. So you had to, like, people would focus a little bit more on like, maybe I'm gonna learn like the fattest switch three ever.
Yeah.
And like it'd be so cool for the sport too, like that more of the focus goes into that side as well, because it's definitely like almost, or definitely as technical as spinning
Hmm.
super much, because the slower you have to set, the more precise you have to be, and the way of tweaking, because if a three with a tweak, you have to set so slow, because the tweak is gonna add or like make you spin faster.
Yeah. I think freestyle.ch had that. Is it possible back in the days? They
They
had
did.
You had to have one tech jump, they called it, and then one style jump.
Yeah, they did it for, yeah, exactly, qualies and semis, and then final was always two runs best trick count.
Yeah.
But that one was nice, but it was like still like a city big air, so it's a little bit smaller, not as much like opportunity for like really express, like with a nice carve and like feeling
Yeah.
good on the jump. And also, it was like always kind of a question because they never set like, because I remember one year I did like a 5 blunt on the style trick that was like super nice, but then some people was like doing rodeo nines and would
Hmm.
like beat it because it was like a rodeo 9 versus a cork 5. But for me, it was like, I
So it
thought,
was still going into the, well, this one is more tech.
exactly. So then the next event, I did a rodeo 9 and then I ended up winning. But it was like, so I just like learned and I played by the rules in a way.
Yeah.
But I think that's why it has to be set or like be more clear that the degree of spin shouldn't matter. It has to be like really like the execution of the trick that is
Hmm.
like the style.
Yeah. And it's always about like defining in detail what the judges are expecting, so everyone knows what they're going into.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the Olympics.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned a bit that there was the COVID struggle. You almost missed the practice, and then first off, when you get there, it's big air. How did it go? Well, we know how it ended, bronze medal. So congrats to you. But tell me
Thank
how
you.
how it was first Olympic big air.
It was amazing. The whole experience, I loved it. I had such a good time from the first practice until the last competition run. And yeah, we were so fortunate with the weather. First off, like it was pretty warm and got almost slushy landing. The
Mm.
whole structure is as good as it gets for a big air jump. The like amount of air time, the in run being wide and long, limit unlimited of speed. Transitions are nice, long outrun. There's like double elevator that goes fast so you can lap fast. And one big thing too is that like there's a big platform at the top. So like during the practice, everybody, all the riders can have their skis on and then one slides out and like
Mm.
kind of like when you're skiing in the park instead of like you putting on the skis and then have to go straight into the jump. And even like also it was snow on the side of the jump so you could like if wind or like you be slow or like doesn't have the right feeling you could just go to the side and ride and like yeah the everything was like super nice for it to be a good event.
Yeah, you really saw the evolution in the last 15 years with the scaffolding jumps, from like being super sketchy and this, you know, to now it's like the most perfect thing.
Yeah, fully. And yeah, everything was like going really well for me too. And I yeah was just feeling good and like kind of like started getting like a little bit more like kind of from learning too from my past experience at Olympics with like almost setting my bar little too high because I was like it's Olympics, I gotta have like the most crazy new runs possible, but then like your chance of doing it perfect lowers.
Hmm.
So this time around I was like thinking like I'm gonna go and like do tricks I have done before but do it the best I ever done it. So rather focus on perfection rather than progression
Hmm.
maybe. But then I like had like a lot of other tricks too like that had been thinking and practicing and was like thinking like to bring out as well. But then I definitely wanted to like the first Olympic games I wanted to kind of bring out my signature trick which is like the no sputter triple. I wanted to bring that back and like but do like a nice one. And yeah, but mainly just like focusing on being like perfect and feeling good with my tricks and like making them look good rather than just like going for something that like I am not like handling perfect yet.
Hmm.
So then like I took down maybe a little bit on the progression and like some people maybe would like go for like a bit more technical grabs or like stuff like that. But I just like went like fully with what I wanted to do, what I want to see myself doing, and that I can do as perfect as possible. And that ended up being no spot trip 16 and switch the bio 18, and just try to go big and like yeah stomp. But I had like one moment that was like the coolest moment ever going into my last run because my first run in the finals I did no spot trip 16 and kind of touched my hand a little bit, so it wasn't perfect. Second jump, did a super nice switched up 18 safety and went big and got good score. So then going into my last jump, I was second last to drop, because going into the last run, the whole thing, they reversed the start order, and I was in second place already and Burke in first.
Mm,
But then Colby surpassed, and then my friend Oliver from Sweden surpassed right before me the last jump. So I was in fourth place
damn.
right before dropping in, and I was like at the top. And this was like so special for me, because normally in a situation like that, and even more probably like during Olympics, I would imagine you like almost want to escape that feeling, like it's like too much pressure, and you like you don't it's not very nice to like stand there and be like, fuck, this is like my chance. I don't have the medal right now. I want the medal so much. I worked so much for this. But in that moment, I remember standing at the top and like looking down, and I was like, fuck, this is the sickest shit. It's like exactly where I want to be right now. Like, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I wouldn't want to change myself or do anything. And I was like so comfortable. I was like, I'm just gonna go do the nose butt trip 16 again, but do it perfect this time. So it's like at least I've done all I could and like followed my plan with the two tricks and done them perfect. And I don't know, I was like so confident and comfortable and happy in
Hmm.
that space. And then I landed it, and I was like, yeah, this gotta be a
Well,
medal, hopefully.
at that point, maybe you knew with the scores that, okay, I'm at that point with a trip 16 that wasn't perfect. So you knew in your head that if you get it perfect, you'll most likely be good. And then it's a trick that you know you can get down that you've did in the past. So you were just like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, exactly like that. Because that originally my plan was to do the two first trick, those trick, and doing perfect, and then I had like one special up in the sleeve.
Can you tell us?
No, but hopefully I show you at X Games next year if I get
Sound,
invited.
sounds good.
Yeah, no, but exactly what you said. Like Oliver surpassed me with like 1 point. So I knew like, and I had done a mistake. So I knew like if I do a cleanup, for sure should get like 2, 3 more points for it.
Hmm.
So then I was like playing a bit chess, like where I was like, it's gonna be so hard for me to like. I could have like maybe stepped it up and gone second, but so hard to step up even to get first.
Hmm.
But then also the chance of getting fourth is a lot bigger. So I was like, I just want a medal. I want to like be able to have gotten a medal at Olympics, like no matter what color. Like for sure, you always dream of like getting gold, of course, but bronze is also a super success for myself, especially since I hadn't gotten it the previous two. So then exactly, just like playing chess the right way by just like, this is what I need, this is what I'm gonna do. Don't go like too far. Like just do what you have to do. And I did it, and I'm so happy that that was like the way I decided to go.
Fuck yeah. What do you think? I thought it was crazy that the trip nose butt trip 16 was still relevant in 2022. Not a diss on the trick, because
No,
the trick is crazy, but it made me think like, holy shit, was he ahead of his time when he did it 10 years ago?
yeah,
Because it took a while for people to caught on. Like people have been doing it recently, but it's
yeah,
crazy to think back in 2013 that you did it,
for
how
sure.
like insane it was.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel that so much too. And it was nice too, because it was like a few years that it wouldn't really get the recognition I thought they deserved. Because it is like a perfectly executed butter on that big of a jump. It's like you have to be so precise
Mm.
and do it so well. And then at some point they were like, yeah, Henry can do it. So like I
Like
didn't
maybe
get
because it wasn't new anymore.
exactly, and then I didn't get hooked up for it. So then I was like, ah, I might as well just do without the butter. It's like
Hmm.
it's so much easier. so, so like let's not be dumb. Let's not do the harder tricks that I don't get better points for doing.
Yeah.
And then it kind of came around like a lot of things do, like with full circle and all waves and everything. And I kind of had a chat with the judges last year where they're like, why don't you do the nose butter? And I was like, well, it doesn't get the what it deserves. And
Yeah.
they're like, okay. And then I saw like the first event that I skipped this year or this last season was the big air event in Switzerland where Matei won with a nose butter 18 double. And I was like, when I saw that, I was like, all right, okay, now that's the way they set the way they're gonna judge this season.
Yeah.
And that was again like super nice to not go to the event and like more like study the tricks that people do and the way the judges react to the tricks. And so I like already then like was like, all right, the butter is coming back, but let's not show it too much before, because I knew like my trick at Olympics got to be a butter, but let's not get the judges tired of seeing the butter.
Right.
So I only did one event, the big air event in Steamboat, and I did the nose butter triple for the qualies and ended up winning the qualies. And then I broke my boot in the practice, two boots actually, in the practice for the finals. I broke my boot and then got my coach and Nicholas boot, and I broke that boot too. So then I was like, all right, I'm not gonna do the nose butter triple in the finals. I didn't really get a result, but then in a way I thought too that's perfect. I got to show it. I won the qualies. I know I can do it. The judges respond was great.
Hmm.
Let's wait until X Games or Olympics.
Yeah. Side note: how do you break boots? How do you manage to break boots?
I just that those two times I went big and just flexed and I break like the top buckle. There's like a plastic piece
Yeah.
and I like yeah
So you
over
just flex it too hard?
yeah I guess
Damn.
so. And I ride my boots pretty soft,
Okay.
so maybe it's that too. I usually on full tilt there is like full tilt or K2 now.
Yeah.
There's three buckles, so it's like the bottom buckle, the ankle buckle, and top buckle. And bottom one, I never really even buckle because that one doesn't do
Dude, you
so much.
guys are insane.
The middle one, I go pretty tight, so my heel is like staying down in it, and like my foot feels like secure to it. But the top buckle, I go loose on too, so I can like go so far forward. Like
Dude,
for the butter and presses,
I don't understand that. Same thing with Belmar when I filmed with him. He like almost didn't clip his the one near his toes. Didn't clip
yeah,
it. I was like I'm the type of guy who like tights it to the max. So when I see that, I'm like, how do you do it? Like I don't
yeah.
understand it.
I used to ride like super, super loose when I was younger, and I loved it. But then when I had a little bit more knee problems,
Mm,
it was definitely feeling better when I buckled it harder. Because then it was like more in like one motion, everything, and it's not like double motion with the boot and leg moving around. But then going into this year, I think probably because of the big break and like taking a little bit more care, I felt so good. So then I was so happy to not having to buckle my boots so hard.
yeah, because what they say is, you know, as you said, if it's tight, then there's not a change. And how do you say that? The skis follow more closely if it's tight.
Hmm.
There's no in between, and you guys are doing so much stuff that's crazy that I think you would want it to be tight, but I guess whatever feels more comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I think it's always been like more kind of to just have like a, I don't know, relaxed or like
Hmm.
not sloppy, but like just more loose feeling kind of. Because I remember like growing up too, like skateboarders, I would always see them like lose their shoes.
Yeah.
Sometimes if they like run off the board, they lose the shoes. And then I was like early, like, okay, people the skates have like the skate shoes super loose, and then same even with rollerblading. I like saw like people that was like rollerblading, they didn't even buckle at all, and it was like the loosest. So then I was like, all right, so you gotta be like feeling comfortable and like all loose. So then I think I just started doing that when skiing too, and was like, all right, like because everything is like all about like, yeah, as you know, like with skiing and like the way you feel and the way you like dress and the way it makes, yeah, you feel basically. And that was like part of it, like feeling loose in the boots was like, yeah, this is my steez.
So you started off the Olympics with a bang. You got your objective cleared, like getting a medal right on. How was it for slopestyle after that? Because you tell me after that, but I remember watching it, and it seemed odd to me how much people. The course didn't seem as intense as Sochi or Pyeongchang. It seemed more mellow, but a lot of people weren't landing their runs from
Yeah,
what I was seeing.
yeah, I guess there was like a few layers to why maybe it didn't really work the way I wanted to for the slope style this year at Olympics. And like first off was that after the big air event, we had to stay down in the, because the big air event was down in Beijing,
Hmm.
and the slopestyle event up in Secret Garden, I think it's called, and it's like maybe 4 hours away from Beijing.
Okay.
But we had to stay down in the city of Beijing because it's like the medal ceremony down there, which started at maybe 9 at night and was finished around 10, and then we had to catch the bus around, yeah, like 11, 12, and then
Mm,
4 hours. And then the next morning at 9 in the morning was the first practice of slopestyle.
yeah.
And so, yeah, I remember I was like so sore.
But that's
And
weird in terms of the organization when you think they have a whole 2 week and
horrible.
that the bigger athletes are the same that the slope style, and then the ones who perform the best are going to be anyways.
Yeah,
It's odd.
yeah. I thought it was like so odd too.
And there was the same thing in Pyeongchang that I found odd was that not the practice but the qualies and the finals were in the same day.
Yeah,
And to me it felt odd because I watched them both in a row, and you could see that people were tired from doing both in a row.
for sure. And same was in Sochi too. Them both was all in one day.
Mm,
And then I remember I was like super hyped when I saw the schedule that finally we were gonna have qualies, then one day off, and then finals.
yeah.
But then I forgot about the part that was like go straight into slopestyle. But so there was like a few things. I remember like my legs too, like not even my knee, but just my quads. Because on both my jumps that I landed, I went like pretty big, and I remember my legs was so sore, and it was like really cold and like pretty icy. So it's like a little bit harder to get into the slopestyle practice the first 2 days, especially. And there was also like the part of me feeling that I wanted to be kind of like sharing what had just happened in big air too. It's so easy for me to like sometimes just move on to the next thing right away, like,
Mm.
and like not get to like live or like ex-
Soak it in.
exactly soak in the moment that like is so big and meaningful, that like you're so fast to just move on next, and then like,
Yeah.
so then there was like a part of me that was like trying to like also like digest and enjoy, like, fuck, it was like or like 10 years of trying to get an Olympic medal, and I got one now, like at 30 years old. And like it was like all like a lot of things that was like, wow, this is so sick. And then the slopestyle course being not the easiest, definitely not as hard as Pyeongchang maybe, but it was still like not the easiest to figure out, I thought. And then kind of figured it out right before the qualies, but then yeah, just didn't perform it perfectly,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
And what was the issue for you? Was it on the rails or the jumps?
First run, I missed the first rail,
Hmm.
like kind of did a 270 out and landed like a little bit on edge, and all of a sudden was in the left lane. And I normally went for the right lane, and then I just had to improvise. And
Right.
then it was like, ah. And then second run, I just went a little small on the second jump, like little bit of a too big speed check, so kind of like hip check a little bit in the landing. So it was, yeah. I think if I wouldn't have done so well in big air, I would have probably been like extra motivated for it. But I also like going into Olympics knew that like big air was where I was feeling the strongest. I hadn't like done so well in the previous slopestyle events, and I knew if I have to, I can like bring out something. But then big air, I was like, that is the first Olympic big air event for skiing ever. That's like was my goal. I wanted to be on that podium and be part of that for the history and everything. Yeah. So there was like some layers. By wish, definitely. Like if it would have been maybe 1 or 2 days in between big air and slopestyle, so I could digest the big air and be like,
Hmm.
all right, let's get it in slopestyle too. Then that could have changed the outcome. But looking back at it too, I'm like, I don't regret anything, obviously, and I'm like so happy, and I'm very happy that I did take the time in the Olympic Village and did let it soak in the medal from Big Air, and yeah, I had some really good time over there still.
A lot of partying.
No,
Just enjoying the village and the competitions.
yeah, and just the like feeling like of being like just being an Olympian, walking around with all these like super top athletes that are like the best in the world at their their sport or their discipline. And yeah, I just felt like it was super nice feeling for me to also like have like achieved in a way, like being able to like handle getting up on a podium in a Olympics. And just yeah, because at some point, like definitely many times I thought like, maybe Olympics isn't like my thing. But
Mm.
then I'm always like, so always being competitive and always being like, I know I can do it, so
Yeah.
I just gotta do it. You just gotta not treat it really too different from my X Games. And like,
Hmm.
yeah,
Just as any other comp.
exactly.
Yeah. Was there a thinking on your end before that of maybe not going?
Yeah, I think like, but for a small amount of time. But definitely like after the Pyeongchang, when I was getting so much heat from all the media and everybody in Sweden,
Hmm.
they were like calling it the big fiasco, big failure, and all that. I was like, all right, well then you get somebody else from Sweden that's gonna represent it better, kind of thinking. You're like,
Yeah.
just like, I'm over this. I don't need Olympics necessarily. Like I'm so happy with what I'm able to accomplish as far as competitive skiing outside Olympics. So if they don't appreciate me going there and trying my best, then I don't want it.
Yeah.
But that was like for maybe like for 2 3 months, and then after that I was like, all right, let's put in the work. Let's go. And instead of like letting the critics win, like I was like taking like flipping it, kind of like I'm gonna show the critiques, or I don't know how you say it even, but
Critics.
critics, exactly, like show them that like I am, yeah,
Yeah. And anyways, you're doing it for yourself also, like not letting them influence you.
exactly, exactly.
You mentioned the coverage that there was for the Olympics and the big fiasco, as you said. How much coverage is there for the X Games in Sweden? Like,
So little.
yeah, okay. Because it's the same thing in Canada. Like, if Max Perot or someone wins a medal, they'll mention it 10 seconds in the media. Like,
Yeah,
it's minimal.
yeah, it's the exact same thing in Sweden too. And they, yeah, exactly, they mention it maybe on the news and write in the newspaper, and it's
Yeah.
gotten better, I guess. Like since what happened for me at that like big sports award,
Hmm.
like getting the recognition, then like people started like, all right, like maybe more people wants to hear more about free skiing. So it's like getting better and better, but definitely like on a whole different level than Olympics.
Right.
And but it's always like, and it's always like with X Games, all the media always have to like want me to compare how much does X game mean compared to Olympics, and I'm like, I don't compare them to each other. Like they're two different events. I love to be a part of both, but it's like, yeah, I don't know why I would compare them to each other, really.
Okay, well, I guess I won't ask that.
Perfect. Thank you.
um, what's the thinking for Cortina? Do you see yourself going?
I think if I want to do it, I think I'm capable of doing it. But I think exactly like what I was saying in the beginning, that I'm gonna take like 1 or 2 years where I'm definitely gonna compete a lot less,
Yeah.
but not in any way turn down the notch of trick level. Or I want to like get I want to try get really good at skiing this next 2 years and ski a lot and like have so good time and yeah, progress a bunch. And then hopefully in like 2 years when the next qualification period starts, that's when I like hopefully will be motivated to like try go for another one.
Mm. Do you see any potential problems with the whole national teams and all of that if you compete less and want to get back in, or?
Maybe like for sure, like there's a bunch of young Swedes that coming up that are super talented, which deserves the spot as well. So I think it's that, but I think I'm just gonna be aware of it the whole time. Like I for sure gonna still follow all the competitions and see like what people are doing and like make
Yeah.
sure I keep up with my skiing. But then yeah, I think it's only gonna like motivate me, like what I was saying before too, with like prioritize certain events for extra quality over quantity.
Hmm.
And just like I'm gonna probably, since I am so competitive of a person, I'm gonna definitely miss it too. So I'm gonna be like starving to like get my chance to like
Yeah.
show what I can do in competitions again. And like yeah, body wise and everything, mentally and everything, I feel like I'm still getting better and better all the time. So hopefully if it keeps going like this, I don't see a reason why I wouldn't be able to get myself in there.
So this is it for episode 32 with Henrik Harlaut. Be on the lookout for part 2 dropping really soon. Big thank you to this episode sponsors once again, Access Board Shop, Planks Clothing, and Adrenaline Urbaine. Peace.